Hey guys, how's it going? Brad Riley here and welcome to another video. Just a quick one today, but extremely important. I'm going to be answering probably one of the most asked Facebook ads questions that I get, which is, Brad, when do I turn off my ads? When is a good time to think, right, I'm going to kill this, it's clearly not performing? I've got a strategy, me and my team in the Media Buyers, White Label Agency, we have a strategy as to when we turn off ads for our clients, which I'm going to share with you today. It is, however, difficult. It's not black and white, but I've tried to standardize this as close to possible into a video so you can fully understand our thought process that goes into this. Because ultimately, it's extremely important. If you don't shut off ads that are unprofitable and therefore not allocating the spend to other ads that could be getting sales, at the end of the day, you're not going to get your account profitable for your clients. So I just wanted to show you an example here. I'm in one of my clients' ad accounts, performing pretty well. Last 12 months, we've turned 23K into 244K for them. So safe to say they're very happy. But here's a prime example of, look, when you know what you're doing when it comes to turning off ads, you can get these kind of results for clients, So just wanted to share it with you. So first thing you need to know, this is something you need to find out in the onboarding process, which is, what is your client's average order value? Because look, average order value is pretty much the average amount of money that a customer spends when they come onto the website. So, if you sell shoes that are $40, that doesn't mean everybody comes and spends $40. Some people might spend $80 and $120 and $40. You get the occasional one that will spend $400. But the average order value is, what is the average? Usually, in a scenario like that, it's just a bit above one or two products. So, most of the time we find our clients have about a 1.5 to 2x whatever their average product price is their kind of average order value, usually about 1.5. So, let's say use the average example just said, if you sell a $40 pair of shoes, an average order value might be something like $60 or $55. Most people come and buy one, but some people buy two. The reason it's important to find out that figure is because that's what we use a lot of the time to understand when an ad has spent that much money, when we should be turning that off. So our rule of thumb in general is we let an ad spend 1 times the average order value. So in that scenario, if we know an average order value for our customer is $60, then we'd like to let that spend at least $60. Now it isn't as simple as that, because sometimes we like to let it spend a little bit more. It comes down to 2 scenarios. The first scenario, very simply, is that it depends on the context, because if you get lots of add to carts and initiate checkouts, it may be worth keeping it on and letting it spend a little bit more. So I'll give you an example here, and I'll tell you our thought process that goes into this when we're deciding whether we should turn it off once it's hit 1 times average order value. So let's look here. This is one of my clients. Add to carts 51K, initiate checkout 7.6, and then to purchases is 5.2K. Important to note here, add to cart fires for this client every time they add a product. So that's why there's such a big difference from add to cart down to initiate checkout. But you can see the stats run pretty clear here. On average, for every 10 add to carts, we get a sale, right? For every 10 products added to cart, we get a sale, which is on the lower end, I know, but it's a perfect example for this story that I'm telling you now and this lesson I'm teaching you. So let's say you've spent that $60, which is the average order value. And on average, for every 10 add to carts to get, you get a sale. And it so happens that this ad you're looking at, it has spent the $60, but you've got 12 add to carts. Well, that is a good sign, because that means people are still showing high levels of interest. If you check that ad out and there's no add to carts, or there's nowhere near the amount of add to carts that you'd usually expect with that level of spend, then yes, by all means, you can look at shutting it off. But if the add to carts are still high, it can be beneficial to just let that spend out up to about 1.5 to 2x the average order value to see if that does happen to pull in a sale, or maybe even 2. Because again, these are average figures, right? We could say 1 in 10, but it could be that the 13th and the 14th person that both added to cart bought, and all of a sudden you get 2 sales for the 14 add to carts, but just wasn't the initial. So that's why it's worth sometimes letting it spend out a little bit more when that happens. The second thing as well, which is really important, is to understand that buying patterns for customers on Facebook is real. It's real, which is why you should, in most scenarios, let an ad at least spend out for 7 days. because it may be, this is a toy company, right, that we're looking at right here. It may be that for toy companies, everybody buys on the weekend. Mondays and Tuesdays are great. Fridays, parents get home from work. The last thing they're thinking on a Friday night is, I'm going to buy some toys for my child. They're thinking, right, I'm going to cook some tea. I'm going to sit down with a bottle of wine and enjoy myself, relax, and worry about that tomorrow. Buying patterns are real. So if you set your ad up and you don't let it run through a weekend or for a full 7 days, you could also be shooting yourself in the foot, because yes, we're saying here, on average, maybe every 10 add to carts is a sale. But what is the context of that? Because if you're getting all your add to carts and sales a lot cheaper, but they all come in on the Saturday, and you've not let that test and that spend enough to run out, it's not a completely fair test. And again, the upper echelon of media buyers understand this. And sometimes it can be difficult to explain this to your clients and that. And this is why it's important to really set expectations with your clients and say to them, like, look, you need to trust in our expertise and what we're doing here, because often it can look like you're just setting the ad up and not touching it. But there is a method behind it. Sometimes working smarter like that is important, because you can shut it off and think, that audience, that ad just not working. But then on the Saturday, you shut it off on the Friday, it was due to get 4 sales on the Saturday and make the whole ad set profitable. And look, when you look at those buying patterns at scale, you can actually use timing and stuff like that, and bid caps and all sorts of these other cool things to ensure that most of your budget gets spent on certain days. So you can be mindful with that. But if you never let it get to that point and never let it even spend out for 7 days, you're not going to be able to take buying patterns into account. It can get a lot more complicated than this. Depends on the time of year, the products you're selling. There's so much to it. But as a general rule of thumb, those are the main things that we keep into consideration. So number 1, find out the average order value in your onboarding. Number 2, let it spend to at least 1 times the average order value. Number 3, before you shut that off, look at the add to cart / initiate checkout to the ratio of the amount of return that you're getting. Okay, if it's high and it somewhat mimics a good percentage that you'd have on your performing ads, maybe considering that spend out for a few more days, up to 1.5, 2x average order value. And then finally, 7 days, buying patterns, days of the week, weekends, when people buy stuff, timings a day. It's a real thing, okay? So just something to consider for that. If possible and you can, let it spend out for a full 7 days as well. But there we have it. Pretty complicated answer, I know. And again, it's very much case by case, but I hope that has shined some light on it for you. If you're interested, by the way, in some higher level education on how you can start your agency and some more in-depth Facebook ads training, there's a link in the description to the academy. And then finally, if you are running an agency and you're looking to hire a media buyer, we actually offer a white label service where we extend our media buyers to your agency and run all the ads for your clients and stuff like that at an extremely affordable rate. So if you're interested, link to that is in the description as well. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.